for taking some time out of your Thursday to join us for AHA! I always sound like someone's pinched my butt. Agents helping agents.
Wasn't me.
Collaboration is the new currency. Just love doing this. Really know that your time is valuable, and I really appreciate you guys showing up. I'm going to introduce my amazing panelists in a moment, but I want to also, Robin! I also want to thank our amazing sponsors. There are 2 of them here, as well as the owner of CapeSpace, to be able to say a few words. Actually, this is Robin Orbison. We've known each other for a bunch of years. We've sat in some, wow, I'm just saying, I got a song too. I wanted Robin to be able to have taken the opportunity to introduce herself and also say a little bit about CapeSpace. So please.
Okay, thanks very much, Lisa and Corrine. I'm so excited to have the realtors doing this event here at CapeSpace. So for anybody who doesn't know, CapeSpace is a flexible workspace facility. Basically, we rent offices, conference rooms, desks, and mailing addresses on flexible terms. So that means if you need to have a meeting with a client for an hour, you can book a conference room here. You don't need to be a member to book rooms. If you do want to be a member, you get discounts. Our memberships work a little bit like a gym, so people pay a monthly membership fee, and then they just come in and out and grab a desk when they need to do some work, they need to get away from all those distractions at the house. They can come in and do that. We also offer, we have 2 locations. In this location, we have 4 different size conference rooms, and we have 2 in the Mashpee location. And there is a 10% discount for being a member of the Realtors Association. And that's all I have to say today. So welcome and thank you. And if anybody would like a tour or a free day pass to try out the business lounge at some point, just see me before you leave. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
And actually, just a little FYI, EXP Realty is continuing to work on a contract with CapeSpace to be able to have this be kind of our official space. Right now, it's our mailing address, but to also allow all agents to be able to utilize that. But then our 2 sponsors that make this possible as well are Todd Case, who's doing something on his phone right now. Come on, I'm Todd. A to Z Home Inspections, formerly with Pillar to Post. Someone that many of us have enjoyed, spent many hours with Todd.
Thank you.
In basements.
Yeah. Spend time in crawl space. They don't come with me. I don't know why. All right. So A to Z Realty Inspections Inc. is the original name of the company right before I joined with Pillar to Post over 10 years ago. I ended my tenure with Pillar to Post in February, and then I went right back to A to Z. Right? Just to give you an idea, A to Z was not based upon trying to get me first in the yellow pages, because they don't exist anymore. It's Alexandra to Zachary, 2 of my kids. Right? It's a two-man team. Myself and another gentleman named Jason. We go together. We go one at a time. Depends on the size of the house, and well, depends on the market. Not gonna lie, the market's slow. Guess what? Hey, Jason, you're coming with me, and vice versa. We do everything from North Adams to Provincetown. I pay for the gas. That being said, we try and be as thorough as can be. I mean, there are limitations, of course, but our main goal is just to communicate what needs to be done with the house. We try and talk about today as well as tomorrow. Sometimes the tomorrow things scare people, right? It tends to happen. I'm working on that. Right? But give us a call. We do everything we can for you. Not just the day of the inspection, but we're also there after the fact. I've got called by people 4 to 5 years later. Hey, you remember this? And it's scary when I say yes. Doesn't happen to all of them.
Thank you, Todd. And I think that honestly is one of the amazing things, you know. I think that new potential homeowners have that confidence that they can call Todd and go, on page 28, what the heck was this? You know, or afterwards. It's been enormous help because people only do that a couple times in their lives, right? We do it all the time. We're kind of used to it, but they're like paralyzed with every piece of it for sure. And then Guild Mortgage, Eric Steenstrup, formerly of RMS, has been a partner of many of ours for a very long time. Veronica has worked with him for a number of these different companies. Yeah, she goes 10 years as an RMS. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Veronica Poulin from Guild Mortgage. I'm Eric's loan officer assistant. I'm on his team. I'm also a loan officer on the team. We have an amazing team at Guild Mortgage. We have Eric, myself, Natasha, our admin, and Lauren LeDuc is our loan processor, and she's amazing. The team is all in-house, so we really can just communicate perfectly and get loans seamlessly to closing. We specialize in first-time home buyers, VA loans. We have jumbo loans. We really have everything. Eric is a top producer, and there's really no scenario that we haven't seen. So we really know how to navigate through that. The great thing about Guild, formerly we were RMS, but they were bought out by Guild. Guild has a ton of programs that RMS wasn't able to offer. We also have programs unique to us, like a 1% down program that we currently are putting out. It comes with a 2% grant that's non-repayable by the borrower. So there are some income limitations, but it's definitely a great program that we just came out with. We also have the 321, which comes with like a Home Depot gift card at closing and some other cool things that are unique to us. But any member of our team is available for questions or anything like that. We really all work together on pre-approvals and getting every loan to closing. So
Amazing. Thank you so much. I mean, they really are. And I think for me, there's something about Guild now, RMS formerly, that there's a kindness. There's a kindness and kind of a recognition of the gravitas of what's happening. You know, so many times it's much more transactional. These guys, you know, they've been around, they supported everything, they've been in the trenches with us forever. You know, so I feel really very proud to have you guys as a partner and a sponsor. So thank you. I want to also thank Karine, my co-facilitator for the program today. This is, again, kind of just because we want to do it, just because we want to help agents help ourselves and come back together, since we can finally come back together. God, I was at a luncheon yesterday, and there were probably 40 of us, and people are just so happy to see each other and to be out and to be seen, and you know, it's just so nice. Forget the food, that wasn't great, but it was fantastic. It was really so nice. So again, thank you so much for being here. And I'm so excited to introduce my 4 panelists and to really get into the nuts and bolts of today's topic, which is survival secrets of newer agents. So all 4 of these agents are 5 years or less, I think, in the market. Down at the far end, Christine Brousseau is here. I'm going to have them give a little bit of background, and I've got some fun questions for them. But Christine Brousseau has been in the market for about 2.5 years. 2.5 years, yeah. Amazing. Jenia is probably about the same amount of time, a little bit less.
No, 3 almost.
Oh, 3? Oh my gosh, okay, that's right. Yeah, because Jenny is about to go for her broker's license, I believe.
Correct.
Now that we said it out loud, she's really going to do it. And you have to be an active realtor for at least 3 years before you can start that process. And John Diffrew, we've known each other for a little while, did a deal together a couple years ago. You do amazing work. I love your stuff, and you've got a larger team, I think, now. And it'll be really great to hear kind of some of the stuff that you're doing. And Stephanie Souza is with Sotheby's, which has been a beautiful brand here on Cape Cod. And we had Annie Harcool at our last panel, so we're very happy to have Sotheby's again here for the panel. So that is our 4 panelists. Let me start at the end. Sorry, ladies. I'll go back and forth, but I'm going to start at the end. Christine, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? But I think the first question I have for you is, how did you find yourself in your mental process at the time of your life to decide to come into real estate?
Well, that's a short story, right? It's a really short story. I was in retail for 27 years. COVID happened, and they closed my job, and they offered me a position in Newport, Rhode Island. And I was like, I am not traveling to Newport, Rhode Island every single day. And so I said no, and I knew a whole bunch of realtors. I knew Lisa. She sold me my house.
Actually,
and,
that wasn't supposed to be the leading question. I was like, oh, that is how she got it. Sorry about that.
And so I really loved the idea of continuing to help people, but more on a one-on-one basis. So in retail, you help many people. They walk through the door, and you're helping them all the time, but you don't have a lot of time to make those connections. And I love people. I'm so curious about what makes them tick and all of that. And so really real estate just seemed like the perfect thing for me. It's a lot different than I thought it was going to be. But I still love that part of it where you're making those connections with people, whether it's a buyer, a seller, or another real estate agent. So if you have anything you ever want to ask me, give me a call because it's my favorite thing.
Thank you so much. Amazing. Jenya, I would love to hear kind of how, tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in real estate. I know we know you work for EXP, which is great. And how did you what was in your mind? What was your thought process as you were laying? Because these things, you don't just wake up one day and go, I want to be a realtor. I mean, I think there are, things that happen in your life that lead you to make the decision to become a realtor.
So I used to live in Boston. I moved to the Cape just 7 years ago, and I had a real estate agent at that time who sold me the house where I live now. And it was not one of the easiest deals at that time. And when we closed, he came to me and he said, "You have to get the license."
Really?
Yeah, because I told him what to say, what to do, and how to get me into that house being a buyer. And then we closed, and he came to me and he said, "You have to go to real estate school. You are good at this. You will be a good agent." And who wanted to give up on their Friday paycheck at that time, right? by just buying a house and thinking, oh, what's going to happen? How am I supposed to pay mortgage? But I still considered real estate, and I thought that I would do it part-time. At that time, 7 years ago, and my first real estate class I took in 2016, but in 2017 my first son was born, so the real estate job took a back seat at that time. I had a baby, and I could not give up on all my benefits at my job and all. And then in 2020, COVID hit, and they sent me to work at home, and I had 2 little kids at that time, and having 2 little kids and working from home did not work for me. So it was impossible, and then I said, listen, I think this is the time. And I passed my test, and I joined EXP, and I've been in business since then. And I do regret that I didn't take that step sooner.
Interesting. I've got a bunch of follow-up questions, but I'm going to get to at least let these guys finish. John, I'd love to hear about a little bit about you and how you kind of decided that this was going to be a career for you.
Sure. So I decided to get into real estate 2018, and I was at kind of an impasse in my life in terms of education and work and what I wanted to do and where I saw myself. I had gone to 4 C's, got an associate's in business, was working in the trades. I went to a technical high school here on the Cape as well. So really exploring a lot of options, just seeing what I was gravitating towards at the time. Decided that I wasn't going to complete a 4-year degree. I kind of wanted to stay local. I'm not originally from the Cape, I'm from Connecticut, but I moved out here when I was about 8 years old. And I think just not originally being from here, I look at Cape through a different lens than a lot of people who grew up here and immediately want to move away. we see a great diaspora of young, recent grads, and so I thought there has to be something where I can make a good living, enjoy myself, and stay here and enjoy this lifestyle as well. So I had always been curious about real estate. I took my course, passed, and still was working out some of the details. The last job I had before real estate was actually pouring concrete floors, if you could believe it. So quite the transition. But I had always, I had worked in the trades for many years, and it's seeing all the different facets of properties here on the Cape, inside and out from a technical standpoint. And I think I enjoy being dressed in a suit on the inside of the house than digging holes and planting the rhododendrons on the outside. So now I've been in business 5 years, 3 years with Kinlan Grover, and transitioned to Compass about 2 years ago, getting my broker's license along with that.
All right. Excellent. I think that's so great. I'm still working on that joke about the concrete. Stephanie, we have never met before, I don't believe, although you're a little bit familiar, but I think I've seen your face now a million times on all of our marketing. So thank you so much for being here. I know for all of you, it's come a little bit out of your comfort zone, so I really appreciate that. But please introduce yourself a little bit and kind of how you decided to come into this amazing profession.
Sure. So I was born and raised in Falmouth, and I graduated from Falmouth High School in 2018. I had a senior internship program there that they offered. So towards the end of the first semester, I was originally working in a hospital setting in a pathology lab, although I wanted to be in the ER where things were just quickly moving, nothing was the same every day, so that's kind of the environment that I was looking for. So I immediately ruled that out. I wanted nothing to do with medical school, so I decided to switch over to real estate when
Logical.
Yeah.
That's cool. Real estate.
Right. So I actually had like a senior internship project, and we had to figure out kind of like, it was based on successful people and how they build their wealth and whatnot. And so as I was doing my research, I realized that a lot of these wealthy people have grown their wealth through investing in real estate. And so that really just grabbed my attention. And then come second semester, that's when I decided, okay, I think I want to get started in real estate. So I got a mentorship position at Sotheby's in Falmouth. Pat Thatcher and Jackie Bartolome took me under their wing and just kind of showed me the ropes. I loved it. I love the fact that you didn't have to sit at a desk from 9 to 5, and you just got to meet all different types of people, and every single real estate transaction is different. There's always something to learn.
Always.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it. And so I'm still here today. So
Excellent. Thank you so much. Yeah, your mentors are both amazing women, amazing agents for sure. And yeah, there's always something, and sometimes that thing is just more kindness, tolerance, patience, and love, and that's okay too. That definitely brings us. So what I was planning on for the format is I've got some questions for these guys, and they're going to share a little bit about what their survival secrets are for being new agents, and then we're going to open it up and see if you guys have some questions or comments. They really want this to be all of us together. You know, that's kind of similar to what we did. A couple of you were here for our last one, so similar to that. So I'm going to go in the middle. John, I'll start with you. Tell us, someone's alarm is it's my phone? Okay, stop. I don't know what that was for. John, tell us a little bit about one of your superpowers and what that superpower is and how that has given you some wings in real estate.
Okay. Not that I claim to be a Superman of any sort, but I think if I had to say one superpower that is very beneficial in real estate is the ability to manage your emotions. I think this business is a constant emotional roller coaster, whether you be in the middle of a transaction, whether it just be on a day-to-day basis. I think it's natural to, especially in the beginning, to look around you and compare yourself. This agent has so much business going on. They're closing a deal every day. And I think mentally and psychologically, that's just something that weighs on you as you're trying to get your boots up, get your wheels spinning, get some momentum going. So I think multifaceted, personally, and then throughout the transaction, as Lisa alluded to, this is largely the largest transaction of somebody's life for the most part. So emotions are high, stakes are high, and people a lot of times need to look at things objectively, and it's hard for them to do so while being so invested in the transaction. So I think I have a great ability to step back and really look at things through an objective lens and help people understand what it is we're trying to accomplish, and what are the steps we can take to get there without getting too dramatic about things. So that's what I would say.
I love that. I love that because there is a lot of drama you know, and I think over time, you know, the best agents are able to make it look like it's like this and like that picture, but we know it's really going like this, right? We just had a transaction, and I kept thinking, I finally closed yesterday. I kept thinking, gosh, I wish I could tell her all of this stuff that we're doing on her behalf, because it would have made her appreciate, you know, what we're doing, but I couldn't, because there was a lot of drama. And I got to talk to my coworker, I got to talk to the attorneys, but I did not let down to the seller, because it would only have increased her anxiety about the whole process, but I wanted to, you know, so there is that ability or that need really in a transaction for us to be as level-headed as we can, even though all about us are losing their heads. And you do have a very nice demeanor. I remember from our transaction, there was a couple of things, as there always are.
Right.
But you really, and that was a couple of years ago. You had not been around very long, you know, all that long when we had that transaction in Forest. Thank you. That was really great. Jenia, tell us about one of your superpowers and how that has helped you in real estate.
Okay, I'm not sure if it is a superpower, but I can definitely tell you what helped me.
Okay.
And what that word is. I think is that me being very authentic helped me a lot. I am a licensed real estate agent, and I know the rules. I know all the steps for the transaction. There are still many things that I am learning every day with every single deal, but when I sit down in front of my client, I want to tell them that I'm a human too, and that I can guide them through the process, but I want to listen to them and understand them first. I'm very authentic, and I do always say what I think in terms of their situation too. I'm very straightforward. I do not, especially in this market, I do not try to make people believe in some sort of a miracle, and they like me for that, because I do not have these glasses with rose yes with pink lenses that I put on the client, saying, you know what, it's going to be okay. It's not going to be okay. Maybe it's this and this and that. And I also share my experience, because I've been a buyer, I've been a seller, and I've done this for some time, and I do have amount of transaction every single year, every single month, and I do want to tell them that we are going to get through this together, and I am very honest, and I'm very human to them, and I think this is why I am successful these days, because people like it. People like when people are clients like when agents are honest, and when they are real, and when they can actually listen to the clients and get into their shoes. So that's important. In order for me to be able to take their hand and lead them through the transaction, I have to understand who those people are, and they have to get to know me too. Then we will be successful.
Yeah, that's really beautiful, and I think it's so true in terms of like the law of attraction, that you will attract those clients for the most part that see that authenticity in you and need that. You know, some clients really need a lot of fluff and buff, and some clients just want, you know, it's kind of, you know, where they might be on the disc scale. So that's amazing, and you are that way in real life, you know, and so that's really great.
Yeah, in real life and in my work, I am trying to be the same person, and this is what brought me to the success that I have today.
Stephanie, how about you? What is one of your many superpowers, and how has that helped you as your real estate career started to roll?
I would say one of my superpowers is dealing with the technology. I know that things in real estate and just in general, especially with technology, is all moving so quickly, but I think that I just come from a generation that I have dealt with phones and computers and everything like that from such a young age that I'm kind of not...
Get Stephanie's number.
I'm not afraid to kind of like... it's just trial and error sometimes. That's just what it is, and you have to be able to play around with certain programs or just different things in order to figure out how to use it. You can't be afraid of a computer, your phone, or something like that. Yes, I understand people have deleted documents or offers, and like they just have to restart from the beginning. But being able to do something on the fly, if I'm in the middle of running errands and I need to write up an offer for someone, that I can do it from my phone. If I need to, it's not ideal. I'd rather do it from my computer, but just something like that. I get agents calling me all the time asking me, I need help figuring out how to do X, Y, Z, and it just comes naturally to me, and it's like a second language for the older generation that didn't grow up with the technology. So I'm grateful that it comes easy to me. So
how do you help your older clients in that way?
Helping them, well, I mean, I'm not going to force them to sign like an electronic document if they would prefer pen and paper. I mean, that's just how some people are, and you have to accommodate their needs if that's what's going to make their life easier. I mean, that's pretty much the whole point of, it's just the whole service aspect of real estate. So, but I mean, if they have questions about their phone or their computer or something like that, I'm more than willing to help them. It's usually a quick fix. So
That's amazing, and a great superpower to have,
Yes.
for sure. Because so many of us end up, calling our children or nephews, or now not granddaughter. She's not ready yet, but soon she will be. Christine, how about you? Superpower, and how is that helping you with your real estate success?
So, gosh. So about 5 or 6 years ago, I read a book. It's called Strength Finders. I recommend it highly. Everyone should read it. Because basically what it did was it lists out, you take a psychological quiz, and it lists out the things you're good at. And the premise of the book is take those things that you're good at and use them to overcome the things you're not good at. My top strength happens to be strategy. And strategy is a great strength to have because honestly, you can solve a problem. From A to B, if there's a problem, I will figure it out. I will come up with a strategy and I will fix it. And whether that is, whatever it is, that's what I really I got off track there for a second. But basically it helps me stay optimistic and steadfast in the face of adversity, if that makes sense. It helps me keep going even when things are hard, even when things get crazy. I know that I'm going to make it through because I have a strategy. It's A to B. And if the strategy isn't working, I can adjust, but having that groundwork and that foundation helps me keep going.
Excellent. Yeah.
Help.
So having a plan.
Having a plan.
Like to have. Yeah. I mean, for sure. So let me ask you all. I think Christine maybe have mentioned it when she first started saying that it just didn't look exactly like she thought it was going to look like. So tell me, in that first year or two, or yesterday, what's one of those surprising things that you just did not expect about real estate or about the real estate profession? One of those things. We'd love to hear kind of about that.
Oh, which one of us?
I'm just about someone to jump. Jump in.
One of the most surprising things about real estate, I think that to me one of the most surprising things about real estate was that obviously we all do business a little differently, and I think that some people have a certain, obviously we go to code of ethics and we have certain standards that we should all adhere to, but I think the most surprising thing to me was lack of punctuality in details from some other agents even, or auxiliary professionals that we deal with in regards to, it's funny, I think in my first year, every deal counts. I mean, every deal counts even to now, but you're looking at that deadline for the offer. You're looking at that deadline for the counter offer. You're looking at, this needs to be signed by this time, and you're going into the weekend and you don't get a response from somebody. And you're like, well, what happens now? Are we technically out of contract? and that's the stuff that would drive me crazy, and I thought was most surprising in my first year. And so that has kind of helped me shape myself. I've always been very detail oriented and very punctual, and I think that's something that whether you've been in the business a long time or started yesterday is imperative to collaboration with your other agents and just maintaining solid reputation with your referral partners, etc. But that was a bit of a shocker to me my first year, I think.
Yeah, I think I really hear what you're saying. You know, in like funny times, I say to people, you know, anybody who can fog a mirror can become a realtor, especially in Massachusetts. You need to do 40 hours of education on the weekend, and you know, you're a realtor. So, and that's true. But that's to be a realtor, a real estate salesperson. You know, to be a realtor, you need to, you know, belong to the National Association of Realtors, and then hopefully understand that there is a code of ethics. But unless you have a certain wiring and mentors and other professional colleagues around you, you don't always know, you know, what you're gravitating towards. So I think, you know, one of the reasons why I'm so compelled to do stuff like this is that I just feel like we do need to help each other to raise the standards, because there aren't a lot of things required of us to learn, you know, except something that we would be driven on our own, you know. And it's horrifying. And it's great when you know, talk to your friends like, oh my God, can you believe they did X, Y, and Z? But it's not great. And it's one of the reasons why we don't have the best reputation in the community at all. We're kind of right underneath used car salesmen, you know, and we shouldn't be. You know.
Hopefully not.
Well, there's a lot of people that just think we get dressed up and drive fancy cars and don't do a whole lot and make a whole lot of money. So they don't realize it is a lot of work, and we do put a lot into it. So I appreciate that, and continuing to contribute to helping that, volunteering for your association, you know, putting the time in to helping make it a better place is also a great way to honor that. Christine, what was the most surprising thing for you when you first got in?
Honestly, I did not realize that I wasn't going to just have people beating down my doors and asking me to sell and buy their house. Like, I somehow thought that because I'm from a retail background, you're in retail, they come to you. In real estate, it is the other way around. Like, you are totally, it's on you. You've got to find your leads, you've got to figure it out. So my biggest tip to you right now, and I'm going to say this, is pick one thing. You're going to get emails every day. Buy this, we'll get you this, we'll do this. Pick one thing and focus on it. Don't try to buy all the shiny objects, because some of them don't work. Some of them might work, but you're doing too many things, so you're going off on these tangents and going out of your head. Pick one thing. Stick with it. Go all in. With everything you've got, go all in on that one thing. Don't spend your money on everything that comes down the pike.
That's funny that you would think, you know, thought that they're all just going to come to you magically because now you're a realtor.
I mean, I know tons of people. I really thought they all would want me to help them buy a house or sell a house.
Yeah, and then there's nothing worse than the next door neighbor with a sign from somebody else's broker. And you drive by it every single day. And you say, oh.
It happens to everybody.
That would be a funny support group. Stephanie, what's one of the things that really surprises you the most?
I was trying to like get some ideas, but I mean, I had a couple floating around in my head. I would say, I think I have two. So the first one is the amount of disclosures that need to be signed by buyers, the amount of paperwork that goes into a real estate transaction. I mean, I was in high school when I got started in this career, so I had never bought or sold real estate myself. So I really had no idea kind of what it would entail. As far as the paperwork goes, but every time I write up an offer or a listing agreement or something like that, it surprises me. I'm like, oh my God, here we go, the 12 excess pages that there are. But the other thing was the amount of things that we can't say. When I first got started in the business, I was absolutely, if I was at an open house or something, I was afraid to even talk to the people because I didn't want to get sued. This is just a very litigious business, and you say one wrong thing and you can end up in orange suit, so you just gotta be careful.
There's real estate jail, but I don't know if it comes with that last thing.
They'll still let us
Yes.
dress up.
Yeah, no, that is so true. You know, I think when I came into the careers, I'm sure so many people came in from other careers. Stephanie came right from high school, but many of us came from other careers. And I was the person that people went to look for answers to, right? I mean, in different volunteer roles, whatever. They were coming to me. I had to give the final answer. And in real estate, I quickly learned that we do not want to give the final answer for anything. That we have to be the source of the source. And I was not wired that way at all. And I had to learn over a long period of time. There was an agent early on at Kinley Grover who never said anything. And I thought, oh God, that woman is so rude. She'd sit at a showing. Nice girl. I mean, unless you said, Carol, blah, 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 you know, and you really asked a question, she wouldn't say a word. And then as I grew in the business, I was like, that was one of the smartest girls in real estate, because she knew, especially at a showing, to keep her mouth shut. We all have the example of, you know, wanting to, you know, cry about the green toilet, and the next person walks in and goes, oh, I've been looking for an avocado toilet for decades, you know. I mean, that actually happened in South Denison. So yeah, I think that is so true, for sure. Jania, how about you? What happened, or what were you absolutely not expecting at all when you first came in?
So the first thing that I didn't expect when I just started, it was the fact that they do not teach you anything in real estate school that you actually need to be a real estate agent. I remember I was so exhausted when I did my 40 hours, when I did 50 more hours to pass that test. And then when I started and I got, and I showed my first house and I wanted to write an offer, I realized that I didn't know how. And then I'm like, there was 40 hours of real estate school, there was 50 hours of studying, and now I need to like triple that probably in order to get through at least one transaction, at least until you send the offer to somebody else and start talking about that. That was really surprising. I realized it was going to be a lot of work to get that license, because the content, you all remember, it's not an easy one to pass both tests. But then I thought, yeah, I have to double that work now, because and I'm still learning. I'm still getting through all the content that I need to know by being a working real estate agent. The second thing that I wanted to mention is that I did not realize how much work it is. Like right now, I'm in my almost 3 years of being a full-time real estate agent. I had no idea how difficult it is. I did not know. When I was studying for the test, I did not know. People call you early in the morning, people call you late at night. Sometimes you have to go show a house at 8:30 p.m. Sometimes you have to go to your home inspection at 6:30 in the morning. It was really surprising to me. I'm keeping up with my schedule. That's why I'm probably here, because I can share how I do this. I keep up with all the complicated schedules and all, but sometimes when people tell me, oh, you're a real estate agent, you're making so much money in the commission, your income's probably great, you probably can live in Florida in winter. I was like, excuse me? In order for me to get to that commission, I have to go through so much. People do not understand. People do not realize that, and I do not comment on that anymore. I know my thing, and I go and I get to that commission good. I don't get to that commission. It's also good because I learned something. But that was what surprised me the most. It's the schedule and amount of work.
Yeah, it is a lot of work. And when we make those mistakes, you know, it was Robin years ago, there was a really big one, and she said, continuing education. We pay for it. We volunteer to pay for it sometimes, and sometimes we don't volunteer to pay for it. but it is continuing education, and that really helped me reframe when you do occasionally end up almost in an orange suit. Not quite, but almost in real estate jail.
Yeah, but to Jenya's point, what she said is that the perception on the outside world is that, we go to work, we sell a house, and we make all this money, but most people don't realize how much work we do. And a lot of times, if we don't get to the closing table, we did all that work for nothing. Except for the continuing education, which we do learn something new with each transaction, which just helps us all grow and become better realtors.
And especially when we can share all that, which is why I'm so grateful that you guys would come today. So I know it was tough in the very beginning, right? I know that it is tough when you first start out. I don't know anybody who said, oh my God, in my first week, I closed 5 things. I mean, you hear about the people occasionally, but that's like star-crossed lovers too, right? Maybe there's 3 of them. So tell us a little bit about, that very early on time. What kept you going? Because it's a little lonely in the beginning. So tell me a little bit about what kept you going. Stephanie.
I would say what kept me going is my mentor, Jackie Bartolome. I remember I got my license October of 2018, and I was super excited. I was ready to get my hands on anything and sell any house. But in reality, it was a normal market at that time, and it was on the quiet side. I mean, we didn't really have too much going on, and I just remember going from high school, like being in school all day, and then I enjoyed my summer, and then I got my real estate license, and I'm sitting around at home, and I'm like not doing anything. I'm like, this is kind of weird. Like I didn't really know what to do, so I looked to my mentor for guidance, and I'm like, hey, what can I do? Like I have all this free time, and I need something to occupy myself. I'd like to get some business and help you, and just do whatever we can to kind of get buyers or sellers, like just get some business going. So I just looked to my guidance to my mentor for guidance.
Can you think of like one thing that you actually did back then in the beginning that was helpful to kind of keep you going? Besides praying?
I'd say just like getting involved in the community. That's again something that Jackie told me to start. So I started volunteering at the Falmouth Chamber of Commerce and also at the Falmouth Senior Center to help seniors work on their phones, computers, laptops, watches, anything electronic that they needed help with. So it was a good way to kind of give back to my community, and at the same time I was helping them achieve their goals, and it makes me feel good knowing that their problems are solved for the meantime, but just giving back to the community really.
And that's such a key for self-esteem. When you help others, it makes you feel good about yourself.
Does,
It really helps your self-esteem.
Yeah. And they're so grateful and appreciative of that.
So John, how about you? In the very beginning of the career, those dark early days, those lonely early days, what helped you keep going?
Well, I think you bring up a good point about the loneliness factor, especially being young, getting into real estate. There's not going to be many people your age doing the same thing or anything similar. So my friend group shrank immensely, and it was lonely getting started. And so I kind of just took that as, let me fully commit myself to this, and change is a good thing. I embrace the change. So I was reading a lot of kind of generic how to get into real estate books, but then even more localized ones, like Jack Cotton has a great book, Selling Luxury Real Estate, which is literally about selling luxury real estate in Osterville. And I live in Osterville, and I'm aspiring to do that. So that was a great step in just making that connection seem a little closer, making that goal seem a little more attainable, kind of looking at somebody who has been through this journey, especially exactly where I'm doing it or aspiring to do it. So I think reading books in the beginning helped me kind of just get the wheels in motion. Being involved in like you mentioned, with a mentor, or Joe Colucci at Kinley Grover was my original mentor, and we still have a great relationship to this day. Being a part of Kinley Grover, a larger company at the time, really exposed me to a lot in terms of other agents, their lifestyles, what they're able to achieve with this career, and just being around it and absorbing it and seeing that on a daily basis, I think just makes it feel that much more attainable. And going back to my earlier point of just psychologically, you have to just keep telling yourself, like, this is all there waiting for me as long as I can figure it out and stick with it. So I think a lot of mental gymnastics, as well as getting yourself in the right environment to succeed. Surrounding yourself with those people who are trying to do similar things, or who you can look to for inspiration. That really helped me keep me going, I think, in the beginning.
Yeah, I love that. So much about mindset, and also just accepting, kind of as you were growing and changing, accepting what was happening in terms of your friend group. Like, that was a really vulnerable, important point to make, and realize that that was going to be okay, and you were going to, look for other places for inspiration and stuff. That was really, amazing. Jenny, how about you? Those early, dark, lonely days.
Yes, I remember. Sometimes they are still dark. But I learned how to get around those days. So, but when I didn't know how to get around those days, what kept me going is my passion for real estate. I really love what I do. I really do. And I go to that 6:30 a.m. inspection with pleasure and with smile on my face, because I love learning about houses. Right, Todd? Because it's good to talk to someone. I learned so much. I know that I can build a good, steady career in this field. So that's what keeps me going. And I have access to so many resources, right? I can go out to the show and learn something about the house, about the structure of the house, something that I didn't know before. I love going to those early morning home inspections, because the inspector will walk me around and show me things that I'm going to know when I'm showing or selling the next property. So knowledge what kept me going. New obstacles that I can conquer, new barriers that I can jump over, right? Because I knew that in this profession, in this position, day by day, I'm becoming a better professional. I'm becoming a better human, and I am building some sort of a legacy for myself, for my family, showing them my work ethic and my professionalism and my dedication to what I chose to do for my career.
Christine, how about you?
Well, to everybody's point, but especially Stephanie, where she said she was just sitting around her house and kind of like, what do you do? And it goes back to that whole strategy piece. I was doing the same thing. I was sitting around my house, like, waiting for a lead to fall in my lap, and I was like, this isn't gonna work. Like, I have to make some money. I have a mortgage to pay. And just sitting down and figuring out a strategy. So for me, it was not being an undercover agent. Well, we can back that up. It was about learning. To everybody's point here, you continue to learn. And one of the books that I read said, don't be an undercover agent. You have to get out there, you have to talk about it. You need everybody to know that you are an agent. Because if they don't know, they're not going to use you. So you have to make sure everybody knows. So I am now on 2 committees. I volunteer. Lisa calls me all the time. Christine, can you do this? She asked me about this panel. I said yes. It was hard. This is uncomfortable for me. This is not what I like. Getting up and talking in front of a ton of people, it's a little nerve-wracking. But I do it anyway, because you've got to fight through that adversity. And back to the strategy piece, You do it with optimism and you're steadfast through it. And once you get on that other side, you're like, wow, I did it, and you're stronger for it, and you can keep going.
One thing I will say is successful agents are very strong in forward thinking and optimistic, and I love that all four of you are bringing that through so much, really. So there's a couple things as we wind down. I want to ask you about gratitude. Share with us something that you are really grateful for about being a realtor, or being a realtor here on the Cape, or being part of our profession. Is there something specific that brings you a great joy and gratitude? I'd love to kind of, as we're going towards the end, hear that from all of you. Stephanie, you want to jump in?
Sure. Growing up in Falmouth, just being able to also sell real estate there. I know that I keep kind of going back to the high school perspective, but it was just such a transition from graduating high school with kids that were all my age and then immediately transitioning into the adult world. It was very different, and normally kids just go off to college, but this was a big different path that I took than an average high school graduate. But I absolutely loved it, and I loved working with adults and everyone that it was it was great. But so back to your point, growing up in Falmouth and just having the memories there of like at the beach or like getting ice cream at this place, I knew the community and I know where the majority of things are. So then actually being able to see the homes and getting to know the people in my town was really nice.
So sort of digging in even more and celebrating,
Right.
you know, your when you were born.
Yeah.
We're all Washashores. You're the only one that thinks Jenny, gratitude, great gratitude and joy about real estate, or our profession, or working here.
I'm very grateful for everyone who supported me in the very beginning. I'm grateful for you. You were the first one, one of the first ones who I met and who showed me so many things that I use today. I'm grateful for everyone who reached out to me for their real estate needs. I'm so grateful for my clients, my friends, my family who actually believed in me, right? And believed in my work and believed in my ability to do what I'm doing with pleasure every day. We'll be grateful forever to all the resources that I've got here by being a member of eXp Realty, for so many trainings and guidance. I'll be forever grateful for that. I would not be sitting here and talking to you guys probably today if I didn't have all that.
Sure. Thank you. John.
I'm grateful for this career and everything that has transpired in the last 5 years, for really a long list of reasons. As I mentioned before, not being originally from the Cape, I think that I look at it through a different lens. And for a period in my life, I actually resented the Cape. I actually resented what was here because I felt like I wasn't a part of it. Growing up, pretty humble means, and I'm looking at everyone on boats and driving Range Rovers and going to their big houses, and I'm like, this is amazing, but I don't get to experience this. So it's funny because I think flipping that switch and getting into the business of real estate, it really just opens your eyes to a lot more that's going on here, and it allowed me to become part of that community and find my place in the community and give back to the community. And just being involved and sharing that local knowledge with people who aren't necessarily from here or are looking to move here. The reward that we all feel helping a first-time home buyer, it's amazing. But very grateful for the support system of Cape and Islands Association and Kinlan Grover helping me get started, and all of those people who believed in you and supported you to help get you where you need to be, because I think it really takes a village to help these new agents, and I think we all believe that very strongly. That's why we're here today, just to give you a little piece of our mind and what it takes. And I think we all have a lot to be grateful for. So
For sure.
kind of that's a quick summary.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, it's hard to do a quick summary. Christine.
So much to be grateful for, but I'll try and break it down to two little things. Number one is the connections I've made. Like I said earlier, I love people. People are fascinating. Even when they're driving you crazy, they're fascinating. What makes them tick? I love that stuff. And so I am grateful every day for the connections I've made, for the people I can pick up the phone and call at any moment. Corinne, I'm looking at you actually, but you too, Lisa, and Robin and Diane, and it's just amazing. I love that. I love the community that we have at EXP, where we're really helping people. It's not a competition. We're all doing the same thing. So I'm really grateful for that. I'm grateful for the friends I've made, whether they're buyers, sellers, or real estate friends. And then the second thing that I'm most grateful for is that I get to use my strength every day. I'm strategic. If I have a problem, I'm going to solve it, and I love doing that. So if you have a problem, give me a call. Like, I'm happy to help you solve it. Like, it's my superpower, and I love doing it, and I get to do it every single day.
Yeah, good profession to choose for that. For sure.
Every transaction has been different.
I've asked each of them to give us kind of a piece of advice, but I want to turn it to you guys now. I just ask you because I love to talk about gratitude in general, and it really is kind of a survival secret in real estate, I think. So I'd love to hear from you guys. Just kind of raise your hand or just join in. What's something that you're really grateful for about being a realtor and about being part of this community? I'd love to hear that as we kind of share together the conversation.
Okay, I'll go. I have to agree with.
Say your name and.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Diane McAdams. I'm also with EXP. Learning. You are constantly learning, whether you don't even realize it. Like you said, when the deal doesn't go through, you learn why. The other thing is bless you. John, you said manage your emotions. That's a tough one.
Absolutely.
That's a tough one because I was actually doing a deal with an agent, and you know how you can put that person on silent? Mm-hmm. She put in the middle of text conversation, she put me on silent. I stood up and I was like, my fists were going. So managing your emotions, I learned something from you. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome. It's an ongoing process.
It is an ongoing process.
Daily reprieve. For sure. Eric.
Not necessarily gratitude, but may I ask a question?
Sure. Okay.
So if I could just pose to the panel and you guys can all go to that. What are you doing now to be successful that you've changed, and where do you see yourself going in general? What are you doing now that you didn't do, and what have you learned that's going to take you to the next 5 years?
But then I'm still going to get back to everybody that you're not off the hook.
I'll set it up if you don't mind.
Yeah,
So I think what I've been doing and what I'm continuing to do in real estate, obviously it's a very multifaceted business, but I think two large pillars to really focus on is there's the transactional side of things, market knowledge, and really knowing your statistics, knowing your numbers, knowing what, how to convey that, knowing what's going on economically. So I think that's a huge part of it, just knowing your stuff, and it's changing every day. So as we all talked about, we're constantly learning. So constantly learning and constantly teaching people. So I think that's one pillar of it, is just knowing your stuff. And the other side of it, I would say, is it's all relationships on the other side. So you have to know your stuff, you have to know your market, The second part of it is relationships. You have to be contacting your sphere, meeting new people every day, getting out of your comfort zone, finding your strengths and other people with similar interests and collaborating with those people. Collaborating with other agents is huge in our business, and I think developing a strong reputation for doing so is really going to help you in your success and longevity. Where do I see myself going? Nowhere. I've survived 5 years, so I think I'm in it for the long haul at this point. Going back to the gratitude, I'm grateful for all the relationships I've made throughout this career and people I've met that have changed my life. Just from people I run into buying a house, and now we're getting dinner and going to the beach and enjoying some of this lifestyle together. So I think I'm here to stay, and I enjoy that, and I look forward to learning a lot more and expanding my knowledge and range. I took a listing on the vineyard this year. I'm not an expert on the vineyard, but that was one of those things where the relationship was stronger than the market knowledge. So like I said, it's kind of that dichotomy there. But so looking forward to expanding knowledge and expanding business and making some great new relationships and connections. And
We'll see you
enjoying.
on that Grady White soon.
Absolutely. Maybe a Hinkley.
Shoot high. Who wants to go next?
I can go.
Okay, go ahead.
So this is what I wanted to share and what helped me recently to become a better professional. I started having and creating very, very positive and professional relationships with loan officers and with the banks. You will never believe it, but it's some sort of like a very subjective situation over there, depending on who you go, right, and who you send your buyer to. There will be like 5 different banks, and there will be 5 different scenarios for the same buyer. So what I started to do, I started like asking loan officers to have a coffee with me, so I can constantly be updated what's out there for the buyers these days. What are the programs, first home buyer programs, what the down payment programs are, what are the investment loans, and I got myself educated in loan officer part of the story, I would say. But when a buyer comes to me, I know what to talk to them about. So because of course I'm not going to check their like W-2s and taxes and everything, I will send them to the bank, but at least the bullet point of a certain program I can tell them, and they would be like, she's smart. Once I get to the bank where she sends me, I'm definitely going back to her because she knows more than she's supposed to know. Was it me?
There's an Amber
It's an
Alert.
Amber Alert.
It's now on the video.
No, it looks good.
Oh.
Chelsea,
Even further, Cheshire.
check that.
So this is what helped me these days getting more buyers, because I started creating those relationships with mortgage brokers. I started learning what they have to offer, because there are things that coming up in their market every day, every week, and I'm always like, someone would post something, I will take a phone and I will say, hey, what did you post it? What is this mass housing program? Or what is this no down payment loan? I want to know all about that. And then I sit down in front of my buyer and I feel like I can talk more about what they have to do versus if I didn't know that stuff. You know, that was really helpful. And the second thing, what helped me recently, what changed recently, is that I am trying to become that community real estate agent. I do not impose on anyone, first of all, that I want to sell your piece of real estate or I want to buy something with you. I'm offering value, first of all. And people come to me like asking, where is the closest child care in Sandwich, which I can talk about it, right? Where do I go grocery shopping when prospective buyers call me? Where is the best waterfront restaurant? And this is where I start the conversation. I try to make that connection first. I tell them that I'm really an expert in this area, in this market, and then I would offer to them my services as a real estate agent, and they would come to me because they know that I'm resourceful. Resourceful is a very good word for real estate agents. Very good word. You have to be resourceful on the lending side, on the transaction side, but you have to be resourceful in your community as well.
And to get the deal over the finish line.
Correct. That's the point.
Everything that you just said is what we always talk about as a trusted advisor, right? That's kind of exactly all those different qualifications that you were just mentioning. So that's amazing. So, Christine or Stephanie, you want to jump in to this question?
Can you repeat the question for me?
Just from where you started and where you're at now, kind of like what are you doing now, and then where you see yourself, not necessarily moving to, but where do you see yourself going to in the next 2-3 years, business-wise and just mindset-wise and business-wise?
Yeah. So right now, just in general, I think just keeping a positive mindset with things. I mean, the market's always going to change on a day-to-day basis, and you just kind of have to manage your emotions and stay calm, even when transactions can kind of fall through. But I'm going on the MLS tours. I think are an important way to get to know your market very well. Checking the hot sheet every day, and also the MLS tours are a great way to kind of network with some other agents in your area and also help build those relationships. So when it comes time to write up an offer for one of your buyers on a listing agent that now you potentially have a stronger chance at getting that offer accepted because of the relationship that you have with that listing agent. So as far as where I see myself going in the next couple years, I would just say I'm just going to keep moving along, stick with the positive mindset like I always try, and that's really all I have.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Christine.
The last 2.5 years have been spent really building a foundation of connections, whether it's buyers, sellers, real estate attorney, mortgage broker, support group, whatever. I've built this foundation, and by having that foundation, it's helping me move forward. I just got my first referral from a lender, which was super exciting, and then I got a listing because I had a client that bought something with me. It was my very first transaction 2.5 years ago. And he called me and said, "Hey, Christine, I need to sell the condo." And I was like, oh my gosh. And he said, "You're the only person I would call for this."
Excellent.
And I wanted to cry. I was like, oh my gosh.
You probably did try, I know you.
What? So it was amazing. It was amazing and then he gave me the most amazing review once the deal was done. And again, I wanted to cry. Like, it was so amazing. And I know that if he has anybody who's going to do anything on Cape Cod, he's going to refer me. And those are the kind of relationships that you have to work towards. People who are raving fans, people who think you are just the next best thing to sliced bread. That's what I'm working at. Like, that's what I want to be for people, is their resource, but more just, not just a resource, but a friend even. Like, I don't want shallow connections. I want real ones. So that's where I'm moving. So I'm going to
It's not
continue.
gratitude.
Okay.
I'm very grateful.
All right.
I'm grateful for the aha and everything that you do, so thank you.
You're welcome. Great to see you.
Experience. I came from an education background, and sometimes as a high school administrator, I would ask new teachers or teachers who needed to be reminded
are you teaching 1 year 35 times, or are you teaching 35 years? And I find that with sellers, very often when they're asking you to do your audition, maybe against 3 other agents, 4 other agents, the question when you're a new agent comes up, well, how long have you been in real estate? And they don't have the mindset that I do, that somebody who might be brand new and hungry and creative and resourceful might be somebody who's been in the business, might be better than somebody who's been in the business 40 years without any technology and you know, just does the same thing all the time. So I don't know if you've ever been asked that question, but how do you respond to, well, how many years have you been in real estate? You seem kind of young.
I think we,
Well, you look like you're in high school.
I was gonna say, I think we've probably all been asked that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have never actually been asked that, and I will tell you why. Because I put together a listing like presentation, and I don't ever talk about how long I've been in real estate. I talk about my support group. I have a mentor. I have EXP Realty. Yeah, I have a team behind me that has been in the business forever. No one ever asks me how long I've been doing it. They say, "Wow, you've got that going on." So yeah, I don't talk about. I mean, actually, most of my buyers and sellers probably have no idea that I've only been in the business for 2.5 years. So.
I'll jump off her point. I think, yeah, number one, don't lead with that, right? But you know, you want to lead with your knowledge and what value you can bring to somebody, as opposed to, you know, how long you've been in the business. I think naturally, you know, people think I'm in high school all the time, so I'll eventually get that question, and most of the time I've you know, prepped for that question because I've already shown them all the value and resources that I can help them with. Definitely when you're new in the business, you know, I started as a solo agent. I'm on a small team now, but I always sold the experience of the company I was with and the technology and resources and network I had access to. Something that's always helped me since I've gotten the business, going back to, I went to a technical high school. So all of my friends are electricians, plumbers, HVAC techs. So that, you know, just having that network of, you know, contractors, subcontractors, just to alleviate any stress or any issues that would come up, you know, we could easily solve that. And yeah, I mean, I think it's about providing value first. And you know, if you do a great job demonstrating that value, I think the experience is the last thing on the mind of the client. The reality in this business, especially on Cape Cod, there's always somebody who's been doing it longer. You know, there's people who have been in this business longer than I've been alive, and you know, I've gone up against them for certain properties, and you know, in certain relationships you're not going to be able to break, but I'll happily present against anybody, and it's the confidence. Really, it's, you know, I mean, if you lead with the value and the confidence, that goes a long way, because you know that the next agent's going to go in there and say, "I've been doing this for 20 years." So what? So yeah, I just think, you know, conveying the value. You're in tune with the market. You know your stuff. You have a team of people to support you. And you're hungry, you're after it, you're not gonna, you know, you have to have a by any means mentality. It's gonna get done no matter what. And we have the resources to do that. So that's how I would face that question.
Do you guys want to chime in?
Yeah, so just a funny little backstory to your point. I was at an open house. I was hosting it myself maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, I would say. And one guy walked in and I greeted him and he looked at me and he said, are you the realtor? That's what I said, yes, I am. He goes, oh, I thought that you were 14. And I was like, no, I'm not. And whatever. So I just kind of kind of went around that question, and as I started talking to him and building a little bit of a rapport with him and kind of giving him some value, he just kind of shook his head at me as if like I actually knew what I was talking about. So to John's point, if you talk with confidence and if you know your stuff, I don't think that people will necessarily ask you how long you've been in the business. If you do get that question, you can kind of answer it with, oh, well, my team has, answer it as like my team or my company or something like that. And also, if you're a newer agent and you haven't sold however many houses as you would like to, you can just base it off your team's statistics, and you can say, oh, well, we're number one, and obviously give them the right statistics, but I wouldn't lie to them. Yeah, exactly, yeah. So just kind of focus on that support group behind you, because in the event that something does go wrong, there's always other people that you can lean on without your client necessarily knowing that you don't know how to go about the situation, because you can get advice from other people who might have been in the business longer than you or have dealt with a similar situation before. So that's all I have.
That's great. Did you want to chime in, Jen?
Well, right now, I do not remember people asking me regarding how long I've been in real estate, but when I started, they did. And I used to say that I am not by myself. I started not a long time ago, and as a full-time agent, which I did tell people that in 2016 was the first time I took my real estate class, but I've been in business as a full-time agent for a certain amount of time. And I would say that I'm on a team, and my mentor is an icon agent. I am a resourceful real estate agent, and I would do the job well, and it went well. Recently, I do not remember that question, but what I would say in the beginning is that I do have a support, and one day I said that yes, maybe I am not having 20 listings right now, but yours will be the only one, and trust me, I will do my best to work on it, and people signed the agreement with me.
That's what Jack Cotton taught us too. You know, that's an important thing to say. This other guy has about 10, but yours is the only one that I'll have.
Yeah.
So trust me, 100% of my time.
I'll do this, yeah.
On yours, yeah, for sure.
That's what I used to say.
Well, I respect your time. We're almost to 12. We have plenty of time, and everyone has to leave with at least 2 muffins, both hands. So please, share a little bit on the way out. Karine, we've got a couple of quick giveaways we'd like to do. We hope that you enjoyed this one. We're planning our next in September. But we're going to do something on breaking the luxury market. Everybody's always been interested in that. I know we've talked to Jack. Jack is always a wonderful resource for us. So hopefully you guys will be, we've got your contact info. We'll be reaching out to you about that event. But I know Karine has a couple of thoughts she'd like to share.
So as we conclude, what came to my mind is, in addition to the fact that we are all realtors, and this has been staring at me, it says that's who we are, realtor. A lot of our words have come up today. Resilience, resources, relationships, referrals, rave reviews. So not only are we realtors, but ours just fill our world and the things that we do. And thank you to everyone who shared.